Please welcome Bob Fleischaker.
Thanks, Jim. You can see that technology is my friend. I'll do it the old-fashioned way. This is a great event. Hats off to the organizers. It's very exciting. There's two parts to my talk. I've tried to be practical, and I hope none of it comes off as condescending. And I've also tried to be philosophical. The premise of this is based on 11 years in sales, fortunately with the late, great Ralph Simmons and his partner Robbie Wildman, who taught me many things. As I go through this, I'll try to give credit to the people I've stolen ideas from. 11 years in sales management, 9 of which were wonderful. The last 2 were hell, but that was a learning experience. And then the last 18 years with my partner Scott Harris building a comprehensive planning firm in which we sell lots of life and living benefits, and we manage in excess of 150 million of client assets. So we have evolved over the years. A couple of simple ideas to start, and I'll give my old friend Robbie Wildman credit for this. It's top to bottom, left to right is what we were taught. Whenever you organize a talk or a presentation to a client, the mind logically goes to how you're going to lay it out. We were taught when we were kids, when you read a book, top to bottom, left to right. It seems that as sales professionals, though, when we have the opportunity to put something in front of a client, we tend to go to the middle of the page, and they go to the middle of the page. So, simple trick, make sure that you're doing it, help your associates remember to do it. When you're illustrating something, cover up the parts you don't want them to see until you want them to see it. You'll maintain control of the interview. Start top to bottom, left to right. Check each other. Second point I'd make, and I got this from Ralph Simmons, it's the sequencing of your interviews. If A is the first interview, B is the second interview, C is the third, so on and so on. When you're finished the interview, the client goes home and gets on with their life. My bet is that 2 hours later, they don't remember much of what went on because they're busy. When we reconvene for subsequent meetings, it's absolutely important that we get the client back to where they finished the last interview. As salesmen, we tend to continue where we left off. First step in the agenda or the meeting plan is to try to recap what was accomplished in the first meeting. A simple way to do this, in my experience, is to ask the client to summarize. And no matter what they say, you summarize over top of them. Until you get them emotionally and factually where they left off, you're going to be paddling against the current during the rest of the meetings. Third point's about salesmanship. There's been some discussion about salesmanship already this morning. But I don't understand why salesmanship has become such a dirty word. There is nothing wrong with being a professional salesman. Selling is an orderly process designed to uncover true needs and desires for the client, and then we can offer creative solutions to help fill those needs. We're facilitators of clients' decision making, but it is a skill. You can either learn it by the seat of your pants or seek out some professional training. Frequently, as we've all experienced, in spite of the best laid plans, they don't always agree with us. And you need to know how to combat that. Not agreeing doesn't mean they don't want to proceed. It's simply, in my mind, just a call for more information to help them make a better decision. Professionals in any sport, in any career, use coaches. For the life of me, I don't understand why we don't use sales coaches. There was a time in the dark ages where you were trained to sell, and then they taught you how life insurance worked. We seem to be so focused on how the products work that we've forgotten how to sell, how to help people move through the decision-making continuum. So the challenge I would put to you, and this is not an elevator talk that you would use, but we are sales professionals who happen to be in the financial services profession. So if you were on trial for being a sales professional, is there enough evidence to convict you? fourth point I'd make is dealing with, I believe, a huge untapped market. I think the family insurance market in Canada is so grossly underserved that they're crying out to have competent people help them make decisions, figure out what they need to do and how to do it easily. So the late Al Granum in his book, and if you haven't read the binder, it's hard to get, but The Art and Science of Building a Life Insurance Clientele. There's a wisdom of the ages in there. But he talks about fact-finding or discovery. He's got 3 objectives in fact-finding. And one of them is to discover the inner man. So look for the character of the individual that's across the table from you. So there's a concept we use called life is a party. And I've stolen this from my good friend Bob Owens of New Brunswick. And the language goes something as follows. So it's, Mr. Prospect, you and your family are planning next weekend to go to a family function. You're very excited about it. It's something you've looked forward to for years. You know everybody's going to be there. It's not one of those terrible family. You're truly excited. Your kids are excited. Everybody's on for this thing. Saturday morning comes. You wake up and you're not feeling well. So here's the killer question. Are you going to tell your family they should go to the party without you, or because you're not well, should they stay home? So the man who says they should stay home, I submit, doesn't have the character to buy what we're selling. So people don't want to buy life insurance, but I'm convinced that they want their family to go to the party. So it's easy to reframe that conversation and then move back through a conversation about their will. What people say in their will is simply a capital needs analysis. A capital needs analysis done properly is a huge eye-opener. The most common response we get in the middle market is, I wish somebody had told me that, or I understand that, thank you very much. People just want to know. Our responsibility is to give people the information and allow them to make wise choices. We talk about designations. In the current environment, and I really hope that we can move advice into the regulatory world. It should be a regulated activity. If that happens, then designations, I think, will still have the same importance as they do today. But a designation is a huge marketing advantage. If you don't market your designations, I think you're missing a huge opportunity. So a client, a potential client, should know that a designated individual has passed numerous courses, is required to stay updated because of continuing education standards. They subscribe to a code of conduct, and they're subject to peer review if they transgress. Why would anybody choose to deal with somebody who can't make that claim? It's irrational to me that people have a choice in the market. They can deal with a designated individual or non-designated. Given the opportunity, my bet is they'd pick designated every time. The other advantage of designations is it will increase your confidence. It will allow you to go to markets that you typically don't think you can get to. But a designation, you just know that you know what you need to know. Besides increasing your confidence, I think it's a great sign of the commitment to the career, particularly the earlier you are in the career. People who are cruising along 5, 8, 10 years in the industry with no designation, if I'm the outsider looking in, I really question your commitment to professionalism and advanced knowledge. You have to continue to grow because your clients will continue to grow. Make sure they don't outgrow you, and designations is one way to do that. It also, and you have to be very careful about the language on this one, but designations, I believe, give you the license at the appropriate time to say, sir, with all due respect, you will never know as much about this subject as I do. Presumably that's why you're here today, to benefit from my knowledge and my experience. Let's talk about volunteering. Again, it's been mentioned several times this morning. I'm not talking about volunteering in your community. Lots of people do that, and I encourage you to continue to do that. I'm talking about volunteering in our profession. In spite of what people say, I'm always a little suspect of the volunteering in the community because invariably you end up doing a little business, and that's not a bad thing. But how about volunteering in our industry? Frankly, I'm very tired of hearing we can't get people to volunteer. It's the greatest opportunity in your professional career. Let me tell you about my experience as a volunteer. I was a closeted salesperson in a captive agency system. As soon as I started to volunteer, I got to meet people outside. I got to see a different set of eyes on the same challenges. I got to understand the competition. I got access to information when I needed it on competitive products. I made some great friends. I gained confidence because I was given increasing responsibilities. There was a desire to succeed so that I could keep up with the industry peers that I had gained through volunteering. Lo and behold, you wake up one day and you're working not at the local level, you're working at the national level, and then one morning you wake up and you're chairing a national meeting of a large, profitable industry group. I mean, I'm from Scarborough. I was chairing a meeting of established people, many meetings, too many meetings, established people, 80 staff people, operating budget of $13 million. I mean, you can learn a few things doing that. Those skills are absolutely transferable back to the not-for-profit in our community. I can tell you from my experience volunteering in the profession, I don't think I've gotten any business. I don't recall any of you folks ever calling me and saying, let's do business. I'm still waiting for that call. But your credibility and your confidence, your ability to work effectively as a volunteer out there will be substantially enhanced. And frankly, you owe it to our profession to give back at some point. We talk about study groups. It's been mentioned several times already today, and you could probably put mentors at the head of this as well. My study group was probably the single most important decision I made. My study group was hard to get in. You might not believe that given that I'm in, but it was hard to get in. They had rules to stay in. We still have rules to stay in. And our primary ground rule is no secrets. There are no secrets about our personal lives, about our finances, about our business. It's complete disclosure inside the room. The cone of silence drops on the room. Everybody's safe there. This is really important for men. The ladies seem to have an ability to get to that point, on Thursday night, girls' night out with a couple of glasses of wine. Guys don't have safe places to go. If you haven't had challenges in your life yet, you will, and you need somewhere to get support and vent on those things. My study group has done that for me. I'm blessed to have 9 other great guys that meet annually. Unfortunately, we're only 10 now. We were 11 with the loss of Gord Shipley. It's obviously an environment of shared values. It's like having a personal board of directors, and we're hard on each other. And it's just like volunteering in the industry. The desire to continue to belong has a lot to do with our desire to continue to succeed and grow and make our businesses better every year. Needless to say, we have some great friends. Fortunately, they all do well. They all have second homes in neat locations, so it's easy to mooch. Great holidays. Let's talk about the moment of truth. In the sales profession that we're in, the moment of truth, or where we celebrate, is when the client agrees with our recommendation. And I get that. It feels good. That's what we're leaning towards. But in terms of testing our work, the moment of truth is not when they say yes. The moment of truth is when the product that they said yes to is called upon to do the job it was intended to do. So I would challenge each of us to make sure that we build our systems so that when they're stress tested at the moment of truth, that's when they perform. I guess the good news is, as a percentage of all the things we sell, there's a relatively small percentage end up in claims. It's not something we get to practice a lot until you get really old. But when that happens, that's when we have to be great. That's when our team has to be great. So stress test your own operation so that we're great at the moment of truth. So things like, do the beneficiary designations line up with the wills, line up with the client's intentions, line up with the shareholders' agreement? Things we talk about easily, but as soon as they said yes and we celebrated, we maybe forget to go back and dot the I's and cross the T's. Somebody mentioned earlier, there's been so many great speakers already, I forget who, but I've had some claims after 40 years. What I can tell you absolutely is nobody has ever asked me what features were on the product, whether it was term or permanent, whether they overpaid or underpaid. They just want to know how much and when do I get the money. All the other stuff is gobbledygook. So that's when we need to be brilliant. Let me talk about urgency. Urgency is a delicate balance between being a pushy salesperson and being a good facilitator of decision making. If we're not urgent, how can we expect our clients to be urgent? If we take months to get back or weeks to get back, if we don't follow up diligently on the recommendations, why are we surprised when the client doesn't put the same level of importance on that decision making? I'll give you a simple example. My partner and I are just restructuring some of our shareholder agreements. We've had 5 bills from 2 lawyers, 2 different firms, his firm and the firm that's representing me in this one, the stronger firm with a heavier hand. You didn't hear that. We keep getting bills. We keep getting more drafts. We have yet to get a call that says, get your butts down here and sign this. They're not getting it done. Our job, we get paid to get it done. And I don't know that a regulator understands that. But at the end of the day, that's why we're unique and different, is we get paid to get it done. So urgency, I think, is a characteristic that we need to be conscious of all the time and bring to the table. The last point I'd raise is to be an ambassador. This is a phenomenal profession that we've chosen to be part of. What I'm amazed at in a city the size of Toronto is how seldom we actually run into each other. There's people I've known for 40, I've never run into them competitively, and yet we say we move in good markets and we live in the Northeast End, and we don't bump into each other. So where is the competition? I don't get that. There's still huge untapped potential in the market. But the odd time that we do run into competition, I think that we can make this just the envy of any other business if we just take the high road. Okay, I can disagree with your approach to planning, I can disagree with your product recommendation, but I should never disagree with the spirit of how you made those recommendations. So I think it's really easy to say, I know Lawrence, he's a terrific fella. Yeah, and you should, you know what, if Lawrence says it's good, you should do it, thank you very much. Call Lawrence, say you bumped into a client of his, spoke highly of him, leave him at that. There's all kinds of business out there. Like, we don't have to be perceived as the people out there trying to cut somebody else's grass. There's just too many opportunities. Somebody touched on it earlier as well, but be careful of the client where it just seems perfect. He comes in and they're ranting and raving about their current advisor, and you can take all the assets, and I want to move my insurance and whatnot. You'll live by the sword, you'll die by the sword. Whoever said it, you'll be the next guy on that list. It might take a couple of years. They will likely leave you. It's not unlike a question I ask in Discovery, is have you ever sued anybody before? And the people who have sued somebody before, it's like virginity. They know how it works now. I'm not going to be the volunteer for the next time they want to try it. So it's good question to ask. So great business, unbelievable opportunities. Again, my compliments to the organizers. Hopefully these 10 small things that I've shared in culmination, in total, produce some pretty interesting results for me, and I hope they're helpful, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the day. Thank you.